the reality of it is that content creation is the new nine to five. And the reason why I feel that way is because it just seems like the traditional ways of making money and the traditional ways of working are becoming more and more obsolete. Now, that doesn't mean that, real jobs don't exist. Of course, they exist and they're still out there. But for me this year, when thinking about my career and kind of how I wanted to pivot it, and just during some of the darkest times of the year or the low moments I've had this year, I've really been thinking about what what kind of career can I do? Um, what do I want to go back and do? Now, I got my tea right here. So, like, I don't know about you guys, but it very much feels like if you're not a content creator, then what are you doing? And that varies. That could be whether you are in corporate or whether you are in entrepreneurship. It just seems like content creation is the way that people are going. And I'll be honest, that comes with a lot of fear for me. That has been something that's been very daunting for me. Um, I've always kind of wanted to be in front of the camera. I've always wanted to show myself to people. That's just something that's always been there. I've never shied away from kind of being on stage or shied away from opportunities to speak in front of people is something that I actually quite enjoy. However, since the blowing up of social media, since the creation of content, and since this kind of idea of, trolls and social media backlash and all this kind of thing, I've been very fearful to put myself out there. And I've been fearful because I've questioned, like, is there anything of value that I have to say to people? What can I share with people? It seems like in order to kind of be this big channel, you need to be providing value. They say you need to entertain, you need to educate, or you need to inform. Those are the things that I remember being some of the pillars of content creation. When I would watch people and they would say, okay, this is how you're going to get your content creation journey started, people would say, educate, entertain, inform. If you're not doing any of those three things, then forget about it. Nah, blah, blah. And you're just saying, you're like, whoa, 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 there, Nelly. Like, I'm just a young man trying to navigate life. You want me to come and educate, entertain, and inform people. And also, I've found that sometimes with social media, I felt like the the curation of the content itself, I found a little bit cringy because I was like, well, actually, you're actually having to curate something to share it, and it feels like that in and of itself can strip the content of its authenticity. But you have to remember that people don't know the process behind the content that you're creating. All they see when they come up and show up to your channel is they view and watch it. Whenever you watch a series on Netflix, you don't think, oh my gosh, how did they create that scene? Or I wonder how uh, the crew and everything, I wonder who thought of the idea of them to go into that scene or whatever. But when you are the curator and the creator of the content, you have to wear both hats because you're thinking about, curating it for a particular intent, but then you are also the one performing it. So it can feel like you're performing something that you've curated, and that doesn't always feel authentic. Um, I guess it's similar to if a screenwriter was to perform their own writing, their own screenplay. It would kind of give you this feel of, I know why I've said this, and the original intent. But if you give it to an actor, they can interpret it. So yeah, I'm saying all of that to say that, I've struggled a lot with this whole idea of putting myself out there on social media. I've also, there are Bible verses that talk about living a private life. And it's quite a few of my friends who don't engage in social media and who live private lives, they seem to be living quite happy lives, and they seem to be flourishing privately, and the things they can go through things in private, and they can deal with matters of life in private because nobody is kind of watching them or scrutinizing them, or they feel like they need to answer to anybody for any part of their life. But that being said, I just feel like I keep coming back to this thing. I've been applying for various jobs to try and see if I want to get back into the working field. And I am currently working on that because I am, you know, I'm not silly to think that content creation is necessarily going to you just don't know with these things. You don't know with these things. So I have been applying to various jobs just mitigate my bets. And also because I'm not entirely sure that I'm going all in with this. I mean, I am because I'm obviously recording, but I'm not entirely sure that I'm fully going in. I just want to be able to hedge my bets, and I think that's a wise thing to do. So whilst I have been applying for jobs, it just seems like currently in the job market, within a couple of hours of a job going up online, the whole thing is there's over 100 applicants within literally a couple of hours of the job being posted. So you've got to sift through all of those applicants and compete with them. Then on top of it, then on top of it, you've just got this whole people aren't working from home anymore. So people are having to, some jobs people are having to go back into work and everything. And I'm saying all of it to say when you get the constant rejections, so much so to the point where I'm having to enlist a resume writer, which I'm very much looking forward to. I definitely believe in outsourcing something if you can't do it. But it just, I don't know. It's just like, what is going on? Do you know what I mean? What is happening? And you just feel this because when things aren't working out in one area, you do kind of feel this. I don't know if it's like a sign, but you feel like this might be a sign that you need to be doing something else. And that's why other things aren't working out for you. So hence why, I'm recording this. And I used to have a podcast back in the day, loved it, loved doing it. But it stopped for various reasons. But you know, after waiting for other people and trying to enlist other people to do a podcast with me and trying to get people's diaries aligned and trying to get people on the same vision and also trying to get people to just want to do it with you, eventually you just come to the point where you're like, look, me, myself, and that's all I got. So you just come to the point where you just think, you know what, I'm just gonna do it myself. So that's what we're doing. So yeah, so content creation definitely does seem to be the new 9 to 5. It is something that I will get better at as time goes on, and I'm just allowing myself to go through the pitfalls, the failing, the ups, the downs, the working out which cameras to use, the microphone, all of these various different things. I'm allowing myself to go through that process and grow through that process because sometimes we just want to skip those processes a lot of the time. I find when I am a consumer of so much content that you can start to just think that your content needs to match up to other people's immediately and it needs to come out the gate looking exceptional and it needs to have the best editing and it needs to have the best, most cinematic looking feel and etc. And yes, if you have those capabilities, by all means, be excellent in your craft, go out and do it. However, if you don't have that capability or if if the striving for excellence is stopping you from just putting something out, then it is better, I think, for you to go for the latter rather than the former. Because that's where procrastination sets in because you think you have to have X, Y, and Z before you can put yourself out there. When really, if you want to put yourself out there or you want to put your idea out there, your idea has to be out there in order for you to then see it, review it, and then get better at it or with it over time. Like it's not gonna just out the gate be a hit. You're gonna have to grow through it, and your audience is gonna have to grow and go through it with you. That's the whole part of the journey. The people like to see people start somewhere and then build and build and build. So no matter how much experience you have. I remember I was going through this thing where I was trying to gather as much experience as I can in everything and become a master at everything, read thoroughly and very rigorously so that I wouldn't be tested whenever I came into the content space. Let's say I was sharing information or I was going to share some scriptures on something. I wanted to be so well versed in in what I was saying that I was like, well, I'm well read in this thing now, but I haven't put any content out there. It was almost stopping me from putting the content out there. And it's almost like the goalpost was moving every single time. And so I'm just checking on my trading. Okay. 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 We're moving in the right direction. But I just felt like, you know, am I worthy to do this? Am I qualified to do this? And as the classic adage goes, God does not call the qualified, he qualifies the called. And so with that, I just feel this real desire, this real need to just put myself out there more and more. And it's weird because I think my first video was about removing myself from social media. So that's funny. But yeah, raw walking contradictions to varying degrees. Um, so yeah, I just want to put myself out there. I want to get better over time, and I want to encourage you guys to get better over time. I think that we should start moving, trust God and get going. Don't let go and let God, because whilst we need both as believers, I feel like sometimes when we rely heavily on that let go and let God, we misuse it and we contextualize it in ways that we shouldn't. To let go and let God, to me, is to completely allow yourself to surrender to the fact that you should trust God and get going. And when I say that, what I mean is if you have faith without which it's impossible to please God, you're believing for something that isn't yet seen, right? Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things unseen. So if we don't see it and we can't see it yet, but we need to have faith in order to please God, then we actually need to walk by faith and not by sight. The whole point is that you don't walk by sight. But a lot of us are waiting to see something before we walk or see something before we do what we're supposed to do. And it's funny because I had a revelation the other day and I just felt God say to me that, the sharing of your gift or the giving of your gift, as the Bible says in Proverbs, a man's gift makes room for him and calls him before the great. The giving of your gift feels like something is being taken away from you. And when he said that to me, something struck within me because a lot of the time when we decide to give our gift, we are the ones that are looking for the feeling. We want to give the gift and we want the feeling of satisfaction, we want the feeling of joy, we want the feeling of happiness, whatever it is that we're looking for. But actually, when you give a gift or when you give something to someone else, you rejoice in the fact that they are happy with what you're giving them. It's not about you being happy that you gave it to them. Something has been taken away from you. But when you see the effect of what you have given and the impact of what it's done onto others, that's what gives you the joy. For God loves a cheerful giver, right? And it's just something that I realized if you're burying your talents, if you're hiding your talents underground, if you are keeping yourself away from being seen, Matthew 5:16, it says, let your light shine before man, let your light, let your light shine before man that they may see your good works and praise your Father in heaven. People have to see you. People have to see you. People have to be able to look at you and take something from you, away from you. You have to have a gift. You do have a gift. It's not about having to have one. You already do have a gift. You're gifted already. God gifts you with talents and abilities so that you can share them and edify others with them. And yeah, it was just a really interesting revelation because I think when we ask the question, what am I supposed to be doing with my life? What's my purpose? How do I fulfill my calling? All of these various lofty words that we use. A lot of the time, we're looking for some form of satisfaction that really isn't for us to have in giving the gift. It's for us to have in seeing the impact of the gift being given. And when you give something, it does feel like something's being taken away from you. So sometimes you may be in your gifting, but feeling drained, or unless you're getting that strength from God and you're getting that rejuvenation from God, you may be in your gift and feeling like, yeah, just tired or whatever it may be, but you can renew your strength. Do you see what I'm saying? You can renew your strength through God. Um, yeah, that's just some of the things I've been thinking about, let your light shine before man that they may see your good works and praise your Father in heaven. Um, a city on a hill cannot be hidden. You know, the parable that Jesus talks about with the woman who, you don't turn on a lamp and then hide it under a table. A city on a hill cannot be hidden. You can't be hidden. You can't be hiding away the whole of your life. So many of us want to hide, want to hide. I'm trying to hide. I'm hiding from scrutiny. I'm hiding from judgment. I'm hiding from others. The fear of man is going to be a snare in your life. And trust you, me. I have been there where you just feel like you're so fearful of people's opinions. You're so fearful of being perceived. You're so fearful of what others may say about you. You're so fearful of the thing that you know, people pulling you apart and whatever. But this is where you have to know thyself and to thyself be true. You have to know yourself. And you cannot allow people's projections, perceptions, thoughts, and opinions affect you. You really can't, because you're the one that's been with you your whole life. You are the one that's going to be with you for your whole life. People may view you in a snapshot and make their judgments about you, but they're going to do that regardless of what you do. They're going to do that if you hide and you don't show yourself and you isolate yourself. People are going to talk about you. Why that person? They're always isolating themselves. They're always hiding away from things, man. What's wrong with them? And then when you come and show yourself and you come and, show off, show out everything, people are going to talk about you then. People love to talk. That's it. People love to talk. You're not going to be able to change that with what you do. So the only thing that you can do is be you and allow God to use you. Um, so yeah, it's just one of those things that, you know, when in the parable of the talents, the person who has the 5 talents and buries them, or has the 1 talent and buries it, when they are found out to be buried, when it's discovered that they buried their talent, they're called wicked and slothful. And so to bury your talent and to not show yourself, to not share yourself with others and your gift specifically, when I say share yourself, is to be wicked and is to be slothful, it's to be lazy, it's to be likened to wickedness. And there's various different there's various different scriptures that refer to wickedness. And a lot of the time we think of wickedness as murder or, you know, murder or evil deeds, whatever we think they are. But wickedness is also hiding your talent and hiding your gift, withholding your gift. You need to give that gift. It's not yours to keep, it's yours to give. Your gift is not yours to keep, it is yours to give. You need to give it. Give it, Michael Lee. I'm talking to myself. You need to give it. So yeah, for me, that was just a really interesting revelation coming from God because he was assuring me that, yo, it's not always going to feel fuzzy and duddy to give your gift. It might feel costly. It may feel sacrificial. It may feel like you're not getting anything in return, but give and it will be given unto you, shaken down, pressed down for good measure, overflowing. Like when you give, it does come back to you. And that's why it's so important to give and to give freely as well. Um, so yeah, I think burying your talents is just going to keep you stagnant, and burying your talents is going to keep you in the life that you don't want. Burying your talents, you think keeps you safe, but it just keeps you in internal conflict. It keeps you in a place where you just feel conflicted all the time because you know you're supposed to be doing more, you know you're supposed to be offering more, and it becomes an internal burden. And I don't know about you, but I'd probably rather the external burden of people saying whatever they're going to say than the internal fight when you go to bed at night and you know that there is more you're supposed to be giving and you're not doing it. It's one of the worst feelings in the world. It causes restlessness, it causes stress, it's like what the scripture that said in Joshua that like I cannot keep it within me. It's like a fire in my bones. That's what it feels like when you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, when you're not giving of your gift, when you're not saying what you know you're supposed to be saying, when you're not and loving someone the way you know you're supposed to be loving them, it feels like fire trapped in your bones. It's we're moving, living beings. We're supposed to be ebbing and flowing. We're supposed to be releasing what we have, the gifts that we have. We're supposed to release them. That's the whole point. That's what we're made for, and it's to obviously give God glory in that. So yeah, I have decided that I'm going to lose this whole idea of, waiting for God to send a miracle sign and wonder down before I decide that I'm going to move, because that's not faith. Faith is me not seeing something and moving anyway. That's what faith is. Faith is never seeing a sign and then moving forward. It never, ever is that. When Jesus is saying, you know, a wicked and perverse generation go after signs, I never used to understand that verse. I used to think, what's he talking about? Why? But we want a sign. We sing a lot of songs about, give me a sign, God, send me a sign. But what I feel like he may be saying there is that we're looking for signs before we move. We've been given enough evidence. We're already convinced. So it is now time for us to move in accordance with that. That's what we have to do. Um, yeah. So I would just encourage you guys, I'm encouraging myself as well. Like, let's be people who move with faith. Let's be people who don't see the thing that we want and then create it, because that's the whole point. Do you know, when you deep it, when you see when you don't see something that you want, or like when you're looking for something, or when you have faith for something, you can already see it. That's the maddest thing about it. You can already see it, but because you don't see it here on the physical earth plane, you start to go, well, I can't see it, so therefore I'm not going to step forward with it. You've already seen it. So you've already seen it, because you wouldn't think it if you hadn't seen it. So you know it exists, you know it's there, but it's incumbent on you who have seen it to then create it, and then to give it, and to use your gifts and talents to be able to bring it into being, you know. Um, yeah, that's just my perspective. Like, we're made in the image and likeness of Christ. Greater things shall ye do than I have done. Like, these are scriptures where Jesus is saying, look, you're going to do more than I did. You're made in my image and likeness. Create. Okay. And before the prosperity gospel police come for me and say, oh, hold on there, buddy. We can't create anything. We're not God. No one's saying that, but we're made in the image and likeness of Christ. We can create children, can't we? Isn't that creating man in our own image? Well, yes, it is. So, with that being said, let's just go forth and be who God has called us to be. Let's not be shy. Let's not shy away. And I'm gonna be real. I had to come for them reform people there, because they get on my nerves, man. They're just like, it's not every day. Like, come on, like the Bible is saying what the Bible is saying. You're making it seem like we're interpreting things out of context. We're really not. So yeah, so that's what I wanted to say. Give your gift away. Don't be, don't bury your gift. Don't bury it. Fear not the one who kills the body, but fear the one who can kill the body and the soul. Don't fear man. The fear of man will prove to be a snare. It will entrap you. If you fear the opinion of man, it will entrap you. There is no way to be mindful of other people's opinions and not get trapped. Okay, that doesn't mean you're not courteous. It doesn't mean you're not respectful. It doesn't mean you don't listen to people, because in the abundance of counselors, there's safety. It doesn't mean that you don't take on advice from people. It just means you cannot fear people. You can't fear the opinion of man. You get me? So that is a quick one. It's just something that was on my heart to say. I didn't really know what I was going to say when I started recording this video. But we just let the spirit lead. We let experience and recent revelations guide us, whilst just inform us of what we could share. So yeah, so that being said, guys, we're gonna keep this up with the YouTube channel. I just love doing this. I really do. I love it. I love it. And the more I do it, the more I'm gonna get better at it. The more I'm gonna plan them, the more I'm just gonna just do them. I just love it, and I just feel like I'm made for it. I just really do. I love it. Um, at the time, sometimes I don't feel like I do, and I get sometimes a little bit nervous, and I start to my inner critic starts to kind of rear its voice because it wants to keep me safe. But I'm loving it. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest here. I was gonna say I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest. I'm loving it. But I'm really loving it. But yeah, make sure you click the link to subscribe to my channel, like the video, and share it with a friend if you don't mind. Please, 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 please do. You might be wondering why I'm talking in this accent. It's just because I like to do accents from time to time. But please do subscribe, do like the video, do comment. Let me know what God's been talking to you about with regards to your gifts and your talents. And don't sleep on them anymore. Just don't sleep on them. Right. All right, guys. Well, have a good rest of the week. I will catch you again soon, God willing. God bless you. Take care and have a good one.